Okay, 5th and 6th grade, this is English Lesson 101 about verb tenses and principal parts. Before we get into the actual lesson, a couple things that you want to be careful with is making sure that you know what tense means. Tense simply means time. We're not talking about what you might feel like when you're scared, you tense up. We're talking about time, and there are 3 basic verb tenses. And those are, as you can see, past, present, and future. Past tense is simply an event that has already happened. Present tense is an event that is happening now or currently. And future tense is an event that has not happened yet. So this is some basic forms of what things are going to look like when we look at past, present, and future tenses. And then, of course, we've got principal parts on there as well. Later on, when we look at principal parts in future lessons, we're going to see that that gets into the next tenses. So past, present, and future are the basic tenses, and then we've got some more advanced tenses that we'll look at later, but for now we're just going to call them past participles. Alright, so basically the way that it works, if you see the verb tense and the past tense is walked, what would the present tense of walked be? And I challenge you to try to fill these answers out before I actually do them here on camera. But if the past tense is walked, in other words, it happened already, what would the present tense be of walked? Of course, we know, hopefully, would be walk. The future tense hasn't happened yet, so later on today I will walk. And then if we write the past participle form, it can come with any of these helping verbs. I didn't have space, so I just wrote them once for all. But we can say have walked, has walked, or had walked. So it's got that helping verb out in front of it. Okay, we go to the next verb. The present tense is jog. So I like to jog, or I jog. Okay, of course we know that that's just an example, not a true statement. But nonetheless, the present tense is jog. Past tense would be jogged. Notice we doubled the G on that one. The future tense is tomorrow I will jog. Maybe we should say in a couple months I will jog, or in a couple years I will jog. And then we get to the past participle tense. It's have, has, or had jogged. Okay. Alright, we look at the next verb. This time it gives us the future tense, which is will bake. So the past tense of will bake is yesterday I baked. Okay, the present tense is I like to bake, or I bake. And then the past participle tense will be I have baked, I had baked, or he has baked. Okay, the next example here, this time it gives us the past participle tense, which would be have studied, has studied, or had studied. So the past tense would simply be studied. The present tense of studied would be study. That's one that we use very often, or you hear very often. You should study. And the future tense, what we might often say is, oh, I didn't study yet, but I will study, hopefully. Alright, now you'll notice that if you can see it, I don't know if you can see it here on the camera, but I drew a line here. These verbs up here were regular verb forms. So when we go from present tense to past tense, the regular verbs, we normally just add an ed ending. Obviously this last one, there was an exception rule. We have to change the y to I and add ed. But these next verbs, and I didn't write them all, there are more, so you'll want to check your lesson and see. But there are some irregular verb forms, and the irregular verb forms don't keep the same form of the present tense and add ed. So the past tense is ran, and these are ones that you should already know. Yesterday I ran. Today I run. Tomorrow I will run. And when we get to past participle, we can say Yesterday I had ran. Have ran, had ran. Ooh, no. Let's take that back. Appreciate the fact that we won't edit these videos and we show our humanity here. We do make mistakes. It's have run, had run, has run. Okay, very good. Alright, so we look at the present tense here. Present tense is build. We know we can't say I builded, so we say yesterday I built. Tomorrow I will build. Okay, past participle form. Have, has, or had built. Had built. Okay, and then the last one, example-wise here, is will throw. So the future tense is will throw. Present tense is I throw. Yesterday I threw. Past participle form, I had threw. I had threw. Had throw. This one's even more different. Have, has, or had thrown. Alright, now this down here is a little bit of review, but I want to go back over it just to make sure that we are up to speed on this. But sentence patterns. This is just a reminder. If you need it, you can go back, pause the video, or rewind the video for the steps. But these are the basic steps which we'll use when we get into the sentences, and take a look at the patterns. There are 5 different sentence patterns that we learn. 5th graders, you're probably going to only be seeing 4 of these 5 sentence patterns, but nonetheless, again, those are the sentence patterns you can take a look at if you need. But in the sentence, we're going to follow these steps. The sentence says, Julia wears a cotton shirt. First step, we look for prepositional phrases. Anything a mouse can do to a log except eat it. There are no prepositional phrases. So we go to step 2. It says find the verb. Verbs are either action or helping words. That list that we memorize, if it's not action. Okay, so Julia wears a cotton shirt. Of course, we see the action is wears. Okay. And then when we find the subject, we say who or what wears. And of course we know the answer to that question is Julia wears. And then if there's an object, we say the subject and verb, and then we ask who or what. So Julia wears who or what? Shirt. Now, we can label the sentence pattern right in here. There's my subject. There is my action or linking verb. Action. So if it's an action verb, the kind of object that follows an action verb is a direct object. Julia wears who or what? Shirt. So on this line, we can do it here, but maybe the exercise might actually want us to write out the sentence pattern, so we'll do it twice. And then we'll talk about diagramming here in a little bit as well. Alright, so we go to the next sentence. The shirt is yellow. First of all, do we see any prepositional phrases? Anything a mouse can do to a log except eat it? Okay, no. So now let's look for the verb. Step 2. The shirt is yellow. We're looking for action or helping or linking verbs. Well, there is no action, but we know from the list is a linking verb. Okay? So we find the subject. We ask who or what plus the verb. Who or what is? Shirt is. There's our subject. Okay? So sentence patterns 4 and 5 here. Linking verb. The object is either going to be predicate noun or predicate adjective. The shirt is who or what? There's only one word there. Yellow. Is it a predicate noun or predicate adjective? Okay, so in this case it's going to be a predicate adjective, and the reason we know that is because we can put yellow in front of shirt. We can say the yellow shirt as well if you're familiar with your adjective questions. Which one, what kind, how many, how much, whose. What adjective question does yellow answer about shirt? You guessed it, that's right. What kind of shirt? Yellow shirt. So we write the sentence pattern here. S-L-V-P-A. We go to the third sentence and we follow these same steps every time we look at sentences. So step 1, Any prepositional phrases? No? Okay, so the fabric feels soft. We're looking for the verb, action or linking. What do you see? Feels. Now this is a tricky one because you can feel, but a couple things that you can test is the subject feeling? Is the fabric feeling? Whoops, I located the subject for you already. Who or what feels? Fabric. There's our subject. On the sentence pattern we can write that. But is feels action or linking? Well, in this case the subject is not actually feeling, so that's something that should alert us. But another thing is, this is one of the sense verbs: taste, feel, smell, sound, look, appear, become, seem, grow, remain, stay. So that could be action or linking. Well, the first clue was that the subject, fabric, is not feeling. So the second thing that we can do is look to see if we can replace it with a true linking verb. How about is? The fabric is soft. Well, since that works, since we can replace it with a true linking verb, this verb is actually a linking verb. So in the sentence pattern, SLV so far. I'll give you a head start. We know that it's either going to be a predicate noun or a predicate adjective. So, is noun a person, place, thing, or is soft, a person, place, thing, or idea? Or is it describing the subject? Well, the first test we can do is look to see, can we put it in front of fabric? The soft fabric. Well, that sounds okay. So it passed test 1. What about test 2? What adjective question does soft answer about fabric? What kind of fabric? The soft fabric. You could even say which fabric? The soft fabric. So we know, based on those 2 tests, soft is a predicate adjective. Okay, the last sentence. That factory manufactures cloth. So first step, prepositional phrases. Anything a mouse can do to log. I don't see anything in there. So we move to step number 2, find the verb, action or helping. That factory manufactures cloth. Alright, so the action verb here is manufactures. Action verb, manufactures. Class, find the subject. Who or what manufactures? Factory manufactures. So sentence pattern so far is SV. Let's see if it's SV or SVDO. Or is it SVIODO? Alright, the factory manufactures who or what? And we know the answer to that question is cloth. So our sentence pattern is SVDO. Now these lines here are for diagramming purposes. You'll notice when we diagram, it's basically set up when we look at what we're underlining here. We want to follow the same process. So on this first line, we're going to say Julia. There's our subject. We draw a line to separate the subject from the verb. Wears. And the direct object is shirt. So we draw a straight line, but it doesn't go all the way through. So that's an SVDO. That's how we diagram SVDO. The shirt is yellow. Again, I challenge you, class, to diagram these sentences before I finish it. Let's see if you can beat me. Alright, so the shirt is yellow. We know that the subject is shirt. So we draw a line to separate the subject and the verb. The verb is. Now since this is a linking verb, remember, when we diagram those kinds of objects after linking verbs, whether they're predicate nouns or predicate adjectives, they're always the same. Slanted line, because that line points back towards the subject. Yellow. Alright, the third sentence, the fabric feels soft. Of course, the subject is always first. Fabric. The verb is feels. Now, this is a linking verb. So what does that mean? That means our diagram needs to have a slanted line. And then we write the predicate adjective. Fabric feels soft. Last sentence, factory manufactures cloth. Subject is always first, so we write factory on that first line. Straight line all the way through to separate the subject and verb. Manufactures. Are we going to have enough space? And that's an action verb, which means our line will go straight up. No space. Let's see if we can squeeze it in. cloth. Oh, ran out of space. Hopefully you can still read that though. Alright, so this is English lesson 101, and this is verb tenses.